Everybody's good to go? At 7 p.m. we'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in Council Chambers at 216 Main Street, Swan River, Manitoba, this 24th day of June 2025 at 7 p.m. Present this evening, Reeve, Gade, Councillors Burick, Zbirun, Neely, Kushniryk, McGregor, and Blosha. RCL Kristi, Ronnquist is here. Our videographer Jeremy Bergen is here. And we have guests both on the telephone and in person in Chambers. We have all the council here, so we'll go right into the agenda. Be it resolved, the agenda for the regular meeting of council held this 24th day of June 2025 shall be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Neely, and I see Councillor Blosha as well. Is there any additions or changes to the agenda anyone wishes tonight? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. To number 3 we go. Be it resolved, the minutes of the regular council meeting and the minutes of the public hearing, both held June 10th, 2025, shall be adopted as presented. Someone to move the resolution. Councillor Burick, and is there Councillor Zbirun in the end there? There are 2 sets of minutes attached to the agenda, one for the meeting, one for the public hearing. Has everybody had a chance to review both? Were there any errors or omissions found in the minutes? All right, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. The Public Works report tonight, short but sweet. Here we go. Mowing ditches will be starting tomorrow. Chloe will be covering the north. Tim will be working the south. Tim will start a few days later as he's needed for a couple Class 1 projects that are on the go at the moment, and he's got a Class 1 license. We'll begin to install the new taller fencing around the cell at the Benito Landfill. We're currently in discussion with Dave Juncker in regards to our mattress issue at the landfill, as well as in order to find a short-term solution. Spoke to Darren Harvey from the town. They're currently having the same issue and looking at some avenues, as are we, whether charging for disposal, hauling mattresses to be recycled or such. We have much more mattress discussion to come later this evening. If anyone has signage down in their wards, please let Derek know, or the office, and they'll let Derek know. And we'll get those fixed as soon as possible. Graveling's ongoing. It's been a bit slower the last couple of days due to the rain. We did not haul on Monday so as to preserve the roads. We're looking at demoing a gravel reclaimer for the high shoulders from Bianco and Yorkton. Should be within the next couple of weeks. So they're going to bring it out and we're going to try it on a half mile of road, which might be in Ward 5-ish. Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly immediately north of a certain cement plant. So we'll see how that goes.
There's no gravel there, it's all sand, isn't it?
Yeah,
You'd be surprised what's on the shoulder. We were out there with a shovel the other day.
or in the ditch like that.
Yeah. There's nothing on the road, but the shoulder's got some nice stuff.
The ditch is higher than the road. Just pushed over.
Also for Public Works, the photo on the table is from groundbreaking about 4:30 this afternoon in Benito for the splash park. So that happened today, and Public Works will be working on that tomorrow morning. Any discussion on the Public Works report tonight? Hearing nothing, let's start with our delegation then. Bredon Ray is here. And guest, you're both welcome to pull up a chair. So a little explanation for council. We're talking about a possible kennel permit here. But we thought that rather than doing all the paperwork and all the public hearing and all of that, maybe we would start with having the applicants here to kind of explain what's going on. So that if we have some sort of huge philosophical issue with it, we say, don't waste your money on doing all that stuff. So that's what they're here for tonight. There's some photos here, some explanation. But we'll turn it over to you and you can kind of tell us what's happening.
So I guess we have over the bylaw amount of dogs. We actually have 7 of them. Guess a little bit of backstory on that is one of our dogs had puppies, and we were unable to get rid of the last 4 of them. Nobody wanted them. So we decided to keep them, and so I guess they're at home now. But I guess it goes against the bylaw, so we're here to ask if we could get a kennel permit to be able to keep them. We made a bunch of changes to the yard, I guess, to be able to keep them in and not a nuisance to the neighbors. Their doghouse is 10 by 10 just for the 4 of them. There's probably pictures of it there. We added on to the run. It's no longer that 10 by 10 shell. It's actually 45 by 28 now feet. So it's quite large. We are getting an underground fence for the dogs and stuff like that to, if they do happen to get out of their enclosure, that they don't leave the yard. And I guess we had 9, we're down to 4 now, pups. And we're not looking to be, I guess, an actual kennel. We're looking just to be able to keep our 7 and no more. And they're all fixed. So there's no more coming. Yeah. Kind of just rambling on here.
Like, we're not looking to be like breeding or anything like that. It's just, we figured our situation was the better one than giving them up to a shelter or to people who wouldn't take care of them and then them be in a worse situation in the end.
Have you felt out a little bit with the neighbors, how they're doing with it all? Are they okay with it, or?
Nobody's.
So we've heard no complaints until we heard about the report from the one.
Which wasn't actually our dogs.
Yeah.
So
Do you have that map?
Where do you actually live?
on River Road,
Yeah.
we're
We're at the blue house on the corner.
So your
with the
neighbors
10
are quite
acres.
close?
We have one that's close and then the other ones are all like behind our yard.
we have 10 acres there.
This is, we're getting opposite of the mark there is their lot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where's, I see River Road, where's the,
That's where the little market is.
okay, but where are we? This is, Potton Drive would be right here, right? This would be Potton Drive. Okay. Okay.
So you said you had 7 now?
Yes.
Yeah, and so
So you have the 4
a
plots?
kennel,
Three
what you're
others?
saying, sorry, a kennel, you're not actually wanting to house other people's dogs?
No, it's just ours.
To me, that's what a kennel permit is
Yeah.
about, but, because our neighbors run a kennel.
Yeah.
But They
actually
take
house
dogs
other
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just what the gentleman that stopped in and talked to us about it that day. It said
That'll
that
be north of Matthews, I think, Terry. North of Matthews, I think? North of Matthews? Matthews is right in the curve, and you're north of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, by Augie Roche is somewhere in there.
Yeah, just down the road from Augie.
Yeah, Teddy Peterson is our
Ted.
neighbor, yeah,
Okay.
so.
That's my ward, that's what.
Oh, okay.
So, as I was explaining to council, if we're kind of just exploratory tonight, we thought in the office, rather than running them through all the applications and holding the public hearing, like we're not suggesting we're not going to do those things, we have to issue such a permit. But, you know, if anyone here has really extreme heartburn about it, we would say, okay, we need to find another solution rather than going through all of that for 2 months. If, you know, you're already saying there's no way this is going to work, why waste the time for 2 months instead of looking for a different solution? If you think that it's in the realm of possibility, we'll get them to do the applications, we'll bring it through council, we'll do all the hearings.
We had an application like this not long ago. That's just what I'm thinking. We had one like this not long ago.
North of Benito?
Yes. And we denied it.
He didn't follow through, did he?
Yeah, he didn't
You
follow
never-
through.
never
But
finished.
he also did not have what they have.
Yeah,
No.
that's what I mean.
And the dogs were biting people, leaving
Yes.
the yard.
Yeah,
There was lots of
Ours might snug.
different history. I'm just telling you that
Yeah.
this has had been denied before, not
yeah,
yours.
every
Yeah,
one,
no, for sure.
every one of these situations is
So
gonna be different.
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah,
is
100%.
And like when we moved there, I had no idea about the bylaw and stuff like that. So when the gentleman stopped by there to talk to us about it, we kind of jumped in and made it sure we are making it work with everybody, trying to keep everybody happy on don't want to be that guy everybody's mad at, so.
I guess my concern would be the noise from the barking and stuff. That would likely be in that area possibly the biggest concern. I don't know.
They're actually, for the most part, they're pretty quiet unless somebody comes into the yard.
Yeah.
And then the little dog alarm goes off,
Two
and then they
two in the
quit.
morning, that could be a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
How
other
long
than
have
that.
they been there so far?
we've been there since last September.
Yeah.
It's with all seven?
Yes.
Okay, so it's been, everybody's got a good look at it then for what the noise is like. It's not like they just got there.
Yeah,
Okay. So I think from the faces around the room, you're saying go ahead with the application?
I think so.
Yeah, because we gotta
Are these
we gotta put
purebred
it out
shepherds or
there.
no?
they're German Shepherd, Great Pyrenees Cross.
Cross?
Is that Danny's place?
Danny's, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's what we thought.
So later in the meeting, we will set a date for the public hearing. We've got an agenda item for that, so we'll get the date set. Will be a public hearing, so we'll be doing notice to all the appropriate people there, and they'll all have their chance to come in. I think you probably have heard this all from the CAO already, but they all get to come and say their piece, and certainly if you're wanting things to go well, talking to your neighbors ahead of time, so it's not a surprise, helps, right? You can tell them what's happening, tell them the process is gonna go on. You may well find some of them are very supportive.
Yeah.
And don't make the mistake of assuming that them saying nothing means we assume it's support. Because I've seen public hearings before where we get one person comes is very opposed to something. There's nobody else saying it's a good idea. And then council's in this rock and a hard place of do we assume everybody else thinks this is a good idea and it's just one doesn't? Or is everybody feeling that it's not a good idea and just not saying it? So the more you can talk to them and have them show up and give their opinion, the easier it is for council to see.
Yeah, even if you have the written opinion.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like I would
Yeah, a
take these
letter from
pictures
them
to
or
them
whatever.
and say, this is what we're done, this is what we're.
Are you planning on expanding this even bigger or a little bit or?
We definitely have room to, yeah.
Yeah,
The facility,
Yeah, go for the, like,
Yeah.
not the number of dogs.
no.
No,
no, it's their area for sure, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else from council we want to ask them while they're here tonight?
I just wanted to mention that where they're living there, that house isn't really close to anybody. Like it's not like you can,
That's what I was asking, do they have
it's not like you
direct
can shake hands out
neighbors?
the bathroom window,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's quite a ways away. Ted would be your closest.
you would be, yeah. And their enclosure, I guess it doesn't really show in the picture, but it's behind the shops, like right
On
behind
the
the
west
shop.
side of the house.
And they haven't been out chasing horses or cows?
No.
or-
No,
That's just something.
yeah,
Yeah,
It's on the west
Because
side
neighbors won't
behind
be
the
out
house, right? on
Yeah.
the street.
yeah, it's in behind.
So how many did you say? You said there 4 pups?
4 pups.
And what's the other 3?
I have 3 big ones. They're adults, I guess.
I
But there's not gonna be any more babies, right?
No, that's what he said, that's what he said.
Yeah, yeah, we made sure of that.
What, like, longer term, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, do you think the number's just going to get smaller over
It
time?
will be,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like I said, this was kind of a, nobody really wanted them. We did advertise to just give away to good homes and stuff like that, and nobody bid, so. Rather than giving them to overcrowded shelters or putting them down, I just like to keep them.
I would suspect, I don't speak for council, but I suspect that council may impose some conditions on the permit.
Okay.
Much of what you're suggesting, right, that there be no more, that it not be for commercial
Yeah,
purposes.
no, and
There's
that's,
likely to be some language like that put in just
that's
to,
completely
Oh, for
fine,
sure,
yeah.
yeah.
make it
Yep.
kind of more reasonable.
Yep,
Okay. If there's nothing else, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
be in touch with the public hearing information, and you guys make sure to do your part, and then we'll all meet back here again.
yep, you betcha.
Perfect, thank you guys.
Thank you for hearing us.
Let's go to 8.1, General Cheques. Be it resolved, the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. General Cheques number 20576 to 20599 in the amount of $68,458.63. Is there someone who cares to move the resolution? Councillor Neely, and I see Councillor Kushniryk to second it. Copy of checks and invoices are here. Who would like to lead us off with questions? Councillor Neely.
I
Good job.
had to beat Carrie. 205.77.
205.7.
That 39.5, what engine was that?
That is the engine for the one being repaired right now.
Oh,
So rather than it being billed to Chad and Chad billing us, we just have to bill it direct to us, so we got the better pricing.
okay.
How's it coming along, that, is it?
Spoke to him earlier today. The final parts have arrived this week. He intends to do it next week or so.
So he hasn't started yet?
No, his parts just came this week.
We haven't needed it, I guess. Don't have enough operators to run them all anyway.
I guess so.
Next. Councillor Blosha.
205.90, I know what it's for, but why?
I did ask that question a while back, why we had someone else do that instead of our own folks. And the explanation that I received was that the weld was very complex on that particular arm.
Okay,
And the bolt and the grader was a similar type issue if they thought it would take them a lot longer than having someone else do it.
okay. No, I just wanted an explanation.
I didn't delve into it any deeper than that. I could, but that's when I asked the same question about how come when we could, did we not?
No, that's,
Who's doing our welding?
that's,
It kind of depends on the day. I think they all do a little bit. But specifically to the mower arm, it was an issue with how it was sitting and how it had to be held up and done, and they were afraid if they did it, it would just break again. They thought they needed somebody that had a little more experience.
that's a good explanation for me.
Who's next? Going once, going twice. All right, hearing nothing else, we'll call the question on the resolution. Those in favor? Those carried. Payroll checks. 8.2, be it resolved. The Council of the Municipality of Swan by West hereby approves the following payments. Payroll payments number 830 to 847, amount $27,032.23. Someone to move the resolution. Councillor Burick, and I see Councillor McGregor. A copy of the payroll summary is attached. You may notice that check number, I guess check number 832, employee 129. You may wonder, as I did, why that amount is lower than some of the other ones. So I did look into that. It relates to MABP contributions that employee is making, the others are not. So the pension and stuff that was taken off of the check has made the net be lower. And some of those other employees are not making those same contributions.
Is the 839 one, is that a 3-week?
The 839 one, I don't know why it's so high.
It's
You have
really, we should look,
Because that seems for that position to be.
yeah.
we haven't-
Because
we
if you
haven't
look
got
at the,
detailed version.
if you compare it to the 833, it should be close, right? Or should be less.
Should be close with 834, no?
So it's at 24.34 an hour,
Yes.
which is about the right thing for the mower position. 89.60 hours on there. There's a lot less deductions on there.
Yeah, oh, I can understand that and I see why, but I just thought it was a
Oh.
little.
It appears to me like there is no income tax deducted, probably because they're only working a couple months.
Yeah, maybe.
But,
Okay, well, that makes total sense
Yeah,
then.
I think
I'm
that's.
just
Because the
checking.
gross is not over line.
Okay.
But because the deductions aren't there,
Yeah.
we'll see, those are the actual check amounts.
Okay,
But I think, given that it's a summer student,
yeah.
you know,
No, because I was like,
Would that be the same with check 831?
what's the price of
Top
that?
dog on the pay list.
no, they just explained that one.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they didn't explain that one.
831.
No, that should be regular deduction.
Must be some overtime there.
831, it's 90 hours, there's $238 of travel on there. Which is making the check total be up some. And there's also no MEBP deductions.
Travel for,
350 kilometers,
Benito.
so personal vehicle for something, I don't know for what.
no, shouldn't make sense.
It won't be to get to work, it'll be something he had to do from work. He's had to drive someplace for some reason a couple times. Oh, maybe. Could be if he comes to Swan during the day to come do stuff here. See, we don't have a company vehicle to assign right now.
838,
838.
is that a tip?
No, not exactly. So there's a little bit of, there's a cell phone allowance there for partial months. There is, it's the cell phone allowance minus deductions. It's got employee insurance, basic life, union dues taken off the cell phone allowance. Otherwise, they're currently, not on our payroll, but, on somebody else's.
There's gonna be that change too.
Oh, yes, probably worth noting, number 845, employee 118. There has been an issue there with certification, so you'll be seeing a change to that for the next payroll run with a different name showing up there for a while. We can explain more of that in camera, but there will be a change coming there. I don't think the new name is on here yet, is it? No.
No.
But next payroll run, you'll see another name there instead. Anything else? All right. You good, Councillor Neely? Perfect. Call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 8.3, we've got actual bank reconciliation attached tonight. I'm not going to read that to you, but it's there if you want to take a look through it and see how we're doing. It shows us bank account balance, which was, where did I had that here so I can just pull it up and then I've lost it. At the start of the period, the bank account had $3.2 million in it. Right now, 2.8 million roughly in the bank account. So, not horrible. We'll make it through until taxes are due. Any discussion on that? I'm going to bring a resolution. I don't think for that tonight. We'll go to 9.1, the kennel permit. Be resolved, a public hearing shall be held on July 24th. July 24th, 2025 at 7:15 p.m. for the purpose of receiving presentations for those who may be interested in regards to the request for a kennel permit within the AG zone on the property known as 131 River Road, Swan River, specifically to allow for the current 7 dogs as it is over the allowed limit of 3 allowed as per Animal Control Bylaw 2354. Be it further resolved that all necessary advertising, mailing, and posting of the notice for said hearing shall be made in accordance with the Planning Act. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, I see Councillor Neely. Any further discussion on this one? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 9.2, Benito Landfill. Mr. Yonkers dropped by the landfill on a day no one was there. As he tends to really enjoy doing, actually. He seems to, for some reason, no matter how many times we ask to go out there with him so we can look at it together, he likes to come by himself and then just send us some paperwork after. So, we'll keep working on that. So what was found at this time? For the landfill, we've received a warning. It's not an actual ticket, but it was a warning. If we don't correct them, he'll write a ticket next time. Unauthorized access to the field near the gate. We've tried a couple times to control that. We've put rocks there, we've done some other things, so Public Works is going to go take another go at it. He notes that wind-blown waste is excessive. It's a good thing you didn't see it 2 months ago, because Mark has done a really good job on cleaning that up already, so that will continue on. He's concerned about a lack of signage, so we're addressing that. The e-waste, We don't accept e-waste at that site, so we're a little unclear why we have any there, but we'll be taking care of that. The fencing, he's determined our fencing is too low, which is in the Public Works report, is why you see us installing taller fencing, which is, you know, we need to catch what's going there, but that's why the fencing's happening. And then the volume of recyclables, and he's considering mattresses and chairs to be recyclables, is unacceptable. And if you've been to the landfill lately, you know it is massive pile there. And so that's where most of our discussion is going tonight. We need some advice from council on what to do with this. You'll see there's a mattress question thing attached here. There's new information since that was written, because we had recommended that we would just haul several of those into the Swan River landfill, but Swan River does not want them because they have the same problem we have. It's going to take up too much space. So into that mattress question thing, we've been doing a little research. We're not allowed to burn those mattresses at the landfill. But could they be burned someplace else? The jury's kind of out on that. At any licensed landfill, you're not allowed to burn mattresses. Now, in an unlicensed fire pit on somebody's farm, you probably could burn mattresses. Should we? Well, probably not, for all the reasons it's illegal to burn them at the landfill. There's probably some reasons why they made those rules. You know, the big black smoke, as much as it can look cool, it's not particularly good for the environment. We had looked into whether there's a private landfill operator near Kennel that feels they could probably burn them. But the optics of that for a council to haul 300 mattresses to a field and have a farmer burn them, well, you'd all have to want to do that before we would recommend that, because it's not necessarily a recommendation that's going to come forward from staff, because we can see there being some issues with that. The metal is recyclable very easily. What we had done in the past, we had a landfill attendant that separated some of those mattresses. And so they would work away throughout the summer, separating out the metal separately from the foamy parts. The foam would end up in the landfill and the metal wouldn't, so at least they took a little bit less space. That's not currently in the realm of operation of the landfill. That was kind of a one-of with the person that was doing it. So there's mattress recycling. The only facility in Saskatchewan or Manitoba is in Winnipeg for that. It's an $18 per mattress fee once they're at their door. A mattress and a box spring is two things, so that's $36. Roughly you could get 100 or a little more in a semi-trailer to take them there. Maybe about $1,000 of freight, so you're looking at about $10 a that unit for freight to get into Winnipeg, so up to about $28 a piece. They will take them dirty, clean, no matter what. They'll take the ones that have sat there through the winter. They prefer them clean, but they don't have to be. For the $18, they'll take them in any condition. But it's a substantial expense. If we put the mattresses and furniture that we have now into the existing pit, we will probably have to then haul all the garbage to Swan River until a new pit is constructed, because it will likely fill the last little bit of capacity we have left there. It says here we can haul them to Swan River and pay the disposal fees, but they don't seem that interested. Although, we were joking before the meeting, they haven't actually made a rule that they don't take them yet. So if we're hurried, but it might not be the best neighbor. We are curious, there's some points to ponder here. Do we believe that the mattresses there are really all coming from Swan Valley West? Or is it really going through that many? Or do we have mattresses coming from municipalities that won't accept them at all? For example, Minitoba's Bozeman. Or from people that are not willing to pay at the Swan River landfill.
Saskatchewan.
One of the point was, is it cheaper to just keep taking them to Swan River? But if that's not an option, should we be looking at disassembling them? You know, hiring summer students or something? You know, at $28 to take them to Winnipeg, is it cheaper for us to hire someone to take them apart? They wouldn't have to take many apart per hour. Should we be charging a disposal fee for people to bring mattresses? If we do that, do they just end up in the ditches instead? Are we then going and fishing them out of the ditches instead of having them at the landfill? Some people would pay, but how many people wouldn't? And you know, we've talked before about having disposal fees at Benito, and the view of council has been that no, we operate the landfill for our residents, we pay for the landfill, we don't want to be charging disposal fees. So we need some discussion around the table tonight on what should we do something has to happen, or we're going to get fined.
Don't we have a building here at Swan River?
We have a building we jointly own with the town.
Could we do something with that to recycle them? I don't know, like, I've never been in a building, I don't know what we could do with it, you know? Like you said, maybe hire some students, put them in the building there to recycle and like you said, they charge $18 or whatever down there, we'll do the same thing. At least get some wages back for doing that, eh?
What would the cost be roughly to send them to Winnipeg? Like total cost, like you said, so much per mattress,
$1,000.
mileage and that, mileage,
$28 each,
$20, and how much on a load can you get?
over 100.
So 2,800.
So,
And how many loads would you,
no,
how many loads would be going out?
the 2,800 isn't the freight, that's,
No, 20, you said total 2,800, didn't you?
Yeah,
That
it's
includes
$28 a unit. There's probably 200 sitting there right now,
And you said 100 on a load?
So there'd be,
So how many loads would it be, 2?
a couple loads at least.
we're looking at about $6,000 to get rid of it.
Yeah, that doesn't include labor for our staff loading them in the trailer. That's just the cost of, once they're in the trailer and gone, it's gonna be $28 each. Loading would be, it would probably be a day to load a trailer. Cause they're not in the best of shape right now. If we had been keeping them dry and easy and stuff, but we're talking about mattresses that just got an inch of rain on them. They're gonna be
Yeah, they're
heavy.
gonna be
Yeah,
pretty heavy.
yeah, which we might have to let them dry for a month. But it's gonna keep raining on them. Like, this is not an easy problem.
No, it's not
So,
easy, but I was just thinking, send them out there, it's done with. This way you gotta hire students,
you're right.
you gotta hire students, you gotta dig a pit maybe, and you
It's gonna
gotta
be the same
deal,
as the paint. We just gotta deal with it and be done with it.
yeah,
just send it out and be done with it. Load it up on the truck, send them
So
out.
then, what do we do? Like the town has indicated they will very shortly be changing the rules for mattresses at their
Yeah, I think-
landfill.
I think we
So
should
you'll
stop
be-
taking them at all.
What are they gonna do?
Well, they're
Any idea?
discussing charging for mattresses specifically enough to cover the cost of getting them to Winnipeg to recycle.
So that's why I think we should stop taking mattresses, put up a sign, you need to
take them to Swan, yeah.
Like it's still an option. And then, yeah, hopefully not too many in the
It's either
ditches.
that or we have to put our gate and bill per mattress because we'll be flooded. They'll all come to us if it's free.
Well, we can't have it.
They're all coming to us now and it's only $10. Imagine if it's $30 in the
Mhm.
town.
Yeah.
Well, really, if it's a mattress in Boxbury, you're $60. Compared to free. Well, pretty soon you can see people making the drive out.
We got 200 of them there now, no wonder y'all.
And that's not counting chairs and sofas and everything else, so there'll be another, what, 100 of those?
They won't take those. So like things that are just wood could be chipped in Swan River. They have that chipper. Some things can be burned, but we're not supposed to burn any MDF. If it's real wood, we can burn it, but if it's MDF. Now, I would suspect if I was the one sorting the pile, there's not a lot of MDF in that pile.
No,
It's probably mostly real wood.
yeah.
But
Sure
other
it is.
people might sort differently than I do.
Could we, like, say the furniture, would we take, say, the track hoe or something there and just kind of compact everything so that,
You'd have to. Yeah. And like the furniture, if we did that and took it to Swan River, they chip it for cover, whereas we don't have a chipper. So we might be able to, not even still have to put that in the pit afterwards. We'd have to sort it pretty good, because they can't chip a sofa,
yeah,
but they can chip a cupboard.
yeah, exactly.
Anybody else have thoughts on what we should do? Well, I'll try and explore every option we have, but none of them are particularly easy.
Hell, we have to get rid of those 200 right now.
So on the not taking them part, are we simply not taking them at all, or are we charging people for taking them?
I'd say not take,
I say we not take them
Take
at
them.
all anymore.
put a sign up, take them to Swan.
Our landfill isn't big enough for that.
And if Swan stops taking them, what's next?
Then we'll have to explore our
We're
options.
gonna be finding them in ditches all over.
We already do.
I
I
already
know,
do.
but it's gonna be worse though. It's gonna be worse.
Normal people don't do that, Brian.
How many normal people are there though? Not too many.
Oh. There's,
We're hoping that there's a whole bunch.
Shouldn't have said that, sorry. No, if you're seeing some now, you're a lot more later.
Okay, so if we find nothing else to do with these, your blessing is to haul them to Winnipeg to get rid of them?
I'd say so, get rid of it, it's gonna cost us a few bucks, but this way you're not dealing with it, you're not getting kids or other people lined up hiring.
Okay, and you wish us to stop accepting mattresses for the time being unless we change our mind later?
See, the thing is, if we use the general tax dollars for it, not everybody in the municipality is taking their mattress there. That's the only problem, right?
well, and that's why I say we stop taking it. We can't use people's money to take other.
Well, right now, we're gonna ship them out, we're using everybody's tax dollars to ship them out.
Either way. we're gonna
One-time
be-
deal here, but I mean, down the road.
Well, and see, this is, it goes to that bigger picture discussion we've had before. So people primarily in 4, 5, and 6 are paying to use the landfill, whereas people in 1, 2, and 3 are receiving free use. And we say, well, anyone can go to Benito, just the same as anyone can go to Swan. But we already have this kind of discrepancy of some is usually pay and some is not. And so the person that works really hard at not having a lot of garbage and recycling everything is paying just as much towards our landfill program as somebody that doesn't recycle at all and throws it all in the
Yeah.
garbage dump. But to fix that, you'd have to start charging for things at Benito, and you're all welcome to change your mind, but last time we talked about that, it was a pretty solid no around the table that we weren't
Yeah.
interested in charging there.
You'd have to have a scale, wouldn't you? Or-
You could charge flat rate. Again, like, look what happens around the Swan River landfill, the amount of stuff we take out of the ditches that people leave there. I just don't know what happened.
I think 4, 5, and 6 are using Swan River landfill, and we have to pay when we go there, right?
No,
And likely some at Board 3 too, maybe.
for sure.
Well, we gotta get rid of these 200 mattresses, that's the first thing we gotta do. Come out of tax revenues or whatever, however we gotta pay.
And I mean,
for
if you're gonna get one guy out there taking them apart all summer,
it. Gonna cost
I don't
more.
know.
well, I mean, he's gonna do 50, right? Or I don't know how long it takes.
It's not gonna go fast.
No, it's not gonna go fast, no.
Then you got somebody to babysit, and,
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
I mean, if you get Mark to go out there and do, well, then who's doing his job that he's doing right now?
no, no. And he's not necessarily gonna want to
No,
do
no.
that.
Nobody's gonna maintain tearing a mattress apart 1 per hour, and you
Yeah,
gotta do that
yeah,
to
yeah,
break even.
yeah, exactly. I think get a semi with sides up on it and
Yep.
cover it up and go.
yeah, like steel.
To
Yeah.
Roblin Municipality,
Yeah.
dump.
We'll get them to the semi and then we'll see if there's anything along the way between here and whatever
Yeah.
is open.
What's
Yeah.
that mean?
Just
Who knows
pull
it?
See how much it costs to dump it.
Well, see, we could check with Grandview, right? And see if they're in the mood to accept mattresses. Be cheaper to haul them to there than it would be to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would explore that situation, but it might not be a possibility. But
Well, what if it pleases council, we will take away the advice we received, which is if we have to spend the money to take to Winnipeg, if we find a cheaper solution that doesn't look like we're an ogre, we'll explore that.
Yeah.
We'll see if there's anything along the way, see if Swan River's willing to take some as a one-time favor, if something can be done to resolve the issue, short of spending all of that money, and if not, we'll just have to bite the bullet.
and a new sign that says we don't accept that or e-waste.
Even if we had to pay Swan
Right.
River $18.
That'd be cheaper than.
Yeah, then that's shipping.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anything else on that? I think we've got our marching orders pretty clear there. 9.3, utility locate request. This is more for information than anything else, but just let you know some work's ongoing again in the municipality. LMTS is doing some locates and some building, so it's always nice to see them investing. 9.4. So this is more to our discussion we've been having about property standards. Tonight we're exploring how council feels about a derelict building bylaw. A sample is attached here from East St. Paul. In a nutshell, what a derelict building bylaw would do. We've attached some photos, Swan River, Kennel, Durban, Benito, of non-agricultural areas. So the bylaw would only apply in those non-ag areas. It wouldn't apply to any of our agricultural land we have. And it would provide that buildings must be used for something. So that you had to be occupying them in some way. Or if you weren't occupying them, you were looking after them. They were properly boarded up. They had electricity connected to them. They were heated to keep them from freezing and the foundations from breaking. Essentially, the Coles Notes version is it would make it more expensive to have a house sitting in Benito or Durban and Kennel that's not being used. Or, if you don't comply with the bylaw under the terms of the Municipal Act, you would be given 90 days notice that you have to do something. If you failed to do so, Swan Valley West would transfer title to Swan Valley West and then deal with the property, either auctioning it off or tearing it down or whatever it took. It's a little different than tax sale, whereas tax sale, you have to not pay your taxes, and we go through that whole process. This provides for and is used in several municipalities for buildings that are left abandoned, but in the case of that one trailer in Durban where they pay the $10 of taxes a year, there's nothing we can do about it necessarily. Whereas this bylaw would have that teeth to say, you have to either do something, get somebody living there, tear it down, do something, or else we'll do it for you. Obviously, that is a fairly substantial thing to do, to take somebody's property because there's a derelict building on it. But we want to explore that as we're working on writing these other bylaws out. We attached a sample notice that we would send out to people if we were serious about doing this, just warning them such a bylaw is coming, so it wasn't just 90-day notice, they had some more time. When you look through Benito, there certainly is at least 3 or 4 houses in the town that are sitting there right now with no hydro connected to them, just sitting there and doing nothing. So it may encourage those people to rent those houses out or sell them to somebody. It may not. It may call council's bluff on, are we really willing to transfer a house to our name and then auction it off to somebody else? It's a substantial thing and we all have feelings on whether it's appropriate or not, but we want to show it to council and get those thoughts to know if you want any of that worked into the new bylaw that's being created from your previous advice on unsightly. Who would like to share some thoughts? Everyone's going to get to, but somebody can volunteer to be first. Councillor Zbirun.
You just can't tear down a house nowadays and haul it to someplace to burn. You gotta separate it more or less, not? And not everybody has the money to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you force somebody to do it, whether they're gonna take out a loan to go and do this, or it gets applied to their taxes for that we do it, so I don't know.
It doesn't really get applied to their taxes once it's not theirs anymore.
Well,
So that's what the bylaw is saying. If you read it, it's not theirs anymore.
so if you bought a quarter of land and had a house on it, and
It's not ag areas.
oh,
If you read the bylaw, you have to read the whole, like I read it this afternoon a few times, but you have to read through the whole, that's why they're showing you all these pictures are ag areas. It's not accounting ag areas. So if you have an old barn on your property, they're not gonna take it away because of that. So you gotta read it. It's more in the residential zones. It's for safety. Like,
Well-
there is some buildings in Benito where kids could be getting into and it's not safe. It's safety reasons. It's not like they're just gonna go take it away because there's some grass growing around it.
No, for
No.
that we're gonna make you cut the grass.
No.
There's a couple houses on street name?
There's one.
Yeah. Well, that, you know, have no electricity, nobody's living in them, and they're sitting there in the middle of other houses.
Yeah.
And what? You know,
Yeah,
because
fire
of-
breaks out.
so because
Yeah.
there's no electricity, the
And
value of the
they're
house
so
is
close.
zero. So the taxes on that house in Benito is $25. So they just pay $25 a year to have a lot with a house sitting on it that's a
Service
disaster.
lot. Yeah.
So what about across from Benito Rink, there's an old shop there, I don't know which one. What would happen to it?
It would need to be changed in some way. Like, either it needs to be, like, are you saying the one that's totally open?
No,
No?
No, it's,
the Quonset style.
yes, and it is, it's the wall on the west side is starting to go, I don't know about anywhere else, but it's rougher, but it's standing and it's contained but it's not great. I doubt it's had hydro for 15, 20 years,
Oh, longer.
longer. It used to be a theater, wasn't it?
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm thinking totally the other direction.
Was it a theater many years
No.
ago?
No, the theater was further,
Theater.
Further up.
Further? Okay,
Yeah.
but it's the one right against the road anyways.
So. Is it being actively used for something?
I don't,
It's a little bit of storage. I don't know whether the guy is still, he's not well.
but yeah,
And I'm the camera.
it's the type of building that I think falls under what you're getting at. So we're potentially looking that if he, she, whoever isn't financially able to do anything with it, we could take it and demo it on them, even though they may wish to do something. So then what do we do about something like Burick? When we're in no different position.
Well,
It's an unserviced, it's got hydro to it right now, but it's not really contained that well. We know that the wall on the one side. I have a tough time with this here bylaw. The bylaw that we've pulled as a sample is East St. Paul. That's a totally different neighborhood. We're talking some value to an empty
We're
lot.
gonna have another building pretty soon, the old fire hall. What are we gonna do with that?
Mhm.
We know that the north wall and the northeast wall is
Not so good.
not existing anymore.
Yes.
know?
I think it's a very slippery slope if we don't live
Yeah.
up to it ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Our tax sale buildings, sitting in Benito, we haven't done nothing with them. You know, that's all on us.
Mm-hmm.
who else has thoughts? Councillor Burick.
I'm just listening to your comments. It's,
And you know, the reason this is here is because if we rewrite that other bylaw, this is an option. And if council feels this isn't something we want to do, that's fine. We just don't write that in. If council says we should do this, this is the time to write it in. That's why we're having this conversation, is what do people think? What should we do? What shouldn't we do? What's appropriate? What isn't? We all have our own standards and values, right? What works in East St. Paul isn't necessarily what we believe. Councillor McGregor.
Well,
This isn't a take or leave it. The East St. Paul
Yeah,
bylaw,
it's just-
East St. Paul bylaw is probably as far as you could go, but it's our own bylaw. You write whatever you want. And if you said, well, this half is something we should do and that half we don't want to, that's the type of stuff we need to know, because then we could go and make something that can do this but doesn't do that.
And you really have to sit down and read it. I'm sure you haven't
yeah,
read it.
no.
So, because it just came out on here this afternoon. So
Yeah.
I'm sure none of you have had a chance to read it, but I read it this afternoon. You have to take a chance and you read it from the start to the finish and then you decide. You can't ask them to decide here in 2 minutes. You just can't. You gotta read
And we're
it.
gonna
I went
have
through
to,
part of it, but
Well, yeah, you gotta take your time and go through it. You need time.
because we're gonna have to be pretty clear on this and then stick to it.
I don't think we have.
It has
manpower to
lots
go
of good
further.
points,
Yeah,
And that's my
yeah,
chance.
we can do it.
but you have
Just
to
on
know
this
what it
stretch
says
alone.
before you agree to it.
Going down Government Road, once you get out here, holy smokes.
But at some point, you know, is it okay what's there now?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some substantial concerns in some of those areas.
Well, there's a couple that are a good wind and road.
Well, and part of it, like, we don't necessarily have to go through the derelict portion. The municipality gives us several options, right? So we can come out and say that in those areas, you know, as we work out this unsightly, and we apply it to these non-ag areas and then a different to ag areas, we can come out and say, well, your thing is falling down, you have to fix it or else. And we can fine you for that. And those fines end up on taxes, and if you don't pay the taxes, then it goes to tax sale. And you know, if they don't do it, it ends up in the same place. There's just different ways to the same thing, and that's what we're trying to explore is what tools do you want available to council? And what tools do we think? No, that's not something we're interested here.
Yeah, 'cause then you don't wanna pick on people that are struggling to hang on to their place and trying to fix it up. Things are tough.
I can think of 2 inhabited houses that should probably be condemned. That you'd be kicking people out on the streets. It'd be a tough call.
The derelict thing wouldn't, because
Yeah,
we're
it doesn't,
living in
if you read
That's
it,
not
it
a
doesn't, it
derelict
doesn't
house.
go in there, cause they got power, they live in it, it's not in this
But it would
bylaw.
be beyond disrepair and there's so many
But
cosmetic
if
standards.
you gotta read it, cause it's not,
But when
that's
it
not
has
in
that whole
there.
section that says if your windows aren't up to snuff and your eaves trough and all that stuff isn't,
And you could just delete those portions.
yeah.
You know, this, what was presented here is as far as you can go. The town did a bylaw like this not terribly long ago that doesn't have any of the derelict portions, but instead provides an arbitrary scale of 0 to 3 of what the person from the town thinks your house looks like. And if you look like anything more than a 1.5, you get a letter and have to fix it immediately. And it doesn't say what they figure that out as, it's just the guy comes and says, I think this is a 1 and that's a 3, so this one's gotta change and that one's fine. It's kind of stunning, their bylaw, how little detail there is in it. I would have a hard time chasing after cosmetic stuff myself. What bothers me is seeing the houses that are sitting vacant in Benito that in some cases people have bought them just to avoid having anyone near them. But then there's a house sitting there that we're getting no tax revenue on, yet we're providing all the services to. How do you explain that as a great idea? You know, that one thing on Main Street, that old church. So there's a piece of Main Street tied up that, you know, the derelict bylaw would give a push for do something with it. Make it into something. Or sell it to somebody, or do something other than just let it sit there and rot forever. Until someday you don't pay the taxes on it and we have to deal with it anyway.
So what would you do with, if you go from the derelict church, you go a little bit north, there's a nice big brick house in the corner.
It's kind of the same idea.
Same thing, but they come, they mow lawn, they do spruce up a little bit, but it's never gonna be lived in again. That's a bugger to, you know,
Yeah.
there's just so many scenarios.
You know, the scary part is that if we go around, not if we, but I mean, when you think about all the houses we talk about in this, if they weren't there, the town would be empty,
Oh, yeah,
you know?
you could take a lot out.
Yeah.
But there would be lots available for somebody to build. Get those buildings up.
So,
Can we
let's-
table this or?
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Table
We're
this
not
for next-
expecting a great decision making tonight. We
Yeah,
just want to
and then
have some
we-
brief discussion and then,
This is almost a special meeting, something like
well, I
that.
think you need to all read it, like Councillor Blosha was suggesting, read it, go through it.
Read it.
And with the mind to, here's parts that no, absolutely not, we would not do this, we would not do that. And when you've done it, is there anything left? Or have you decided, we don't want to do any of this stuff? And maybe, you know, the time where you're finished reading, like, you know what, there's nothing in here we want to do. There's the answer. And if you come back and say, well, there's this one part we like, and we all like that part, then maybe we do that part. You know, would that be kind of homework to go through and look at it and see?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
You wanna be,
For next meeting, we all read
you wanna
it.
be by yourself and nobody interfering with you.
Oh, you have, because it's gonna take a good 45 minutes, because you're gonna have to stop and then go back to
Yeah.
the top
Yeah.
and start again, because you gotta get it in your
Yeah.
head, and there is lots of good stuff in there.
Like
You gotta,
I read
you
some
gotta
today,
read
but I
it.
don't remember this, it's.
There's lots of stuff you know that we would not use, but there is lots of good stuff in there. Because then you can think in your head, okay, well, this applies to this applies to this, and I don't know, just read it.
Okay, we'll leave it there tonight. Work continues on the other portions that we got the advice on before. 9.5, Q2 safety meeting minutes. So safety meetings occurred again. Remember, we changed how this works. No committee anymore. It's just the CAO and the safety person. So mostly just notes there for council. A few things have actually been completed. Congratulations. That's kind of nice when we get them done. There's obviously always going to be some stuff on this list, so it's mostly for council's information, but does anyone wish to discuss any of it tonight? I think for the most part, staff have it fairly well in hand to keep working on it, and this is more for our information than anything else. 9.6 building permit report. You've seen much of this before. If you zoom to the end, you see the additions. There's one highlighted in yellow. So it's a 48 by 72 machine shed to be built. They haven't quite finished off the valuation on it, but yet another bit of building to go on. To 9.7 we go. Last night, some of us attended the G4 meetings, others of us didn't. The only good news is I got to eat Councillor Kushniryk's dessert when he forgot to come.
I think Neely had your share too.
I had Brian's too.
No, Brian, he had Brian's and Brad's share.
So a couple things of note last night. We talked about the municipal assistant proposal. We've heard this here many times before, as it's been circling around the 4 municipalities. So this is the current incarnation of the pitch, is that it would be a full-time position hired that would do work for all municipal committees that need anything done. Much discussion last night, some of it different than what's on the page. The general feeling of the room last night was that municipal committees would pay their way. So if they had budget allocated for getting that sort of admin work done, they would be making payments towards it. Whatever was left unfunded would then be split up amongst the other municipalities. We discussed briefly last night that if somebody from somewhere wanted to volunteer to form a committee to decide how to allocate that leftovers by assessment or by population or by some version of assessment and population, they were welcome to do that. But that I had grown tired of committees like that because they annoy me, because we spend months at it, which is why I just picked some numbers of basically 20, 20, 10, and 10. Some folks, like Minnesotans, weren't so happy with those numbers, but they may be malleable. This would be hosted at the Chamber of Commerce, so it's outside of any municipal office so that it's easier to get to for people dropping off stuff, picking up stuff. After hours access would be easier than having to have a municipal office open. Essentially, they would be responsible for doing minutes for all the various committee meetings, getting agenda packages ready so the chairperson was ready to go for their meeting with everything there. When the meeting was done, that would just all get given back to that admin assistant who would type up the minutes, make sure the resolutions were there. For some committees, they may prepare checks, they may update QuickBooks files, they may do committee documents, for example, medical recruitment. When they do a contract with somebody, they may type up the contract and have it ready for signatures. And then at the spare time, because we think there would be some, would be available for non-profit groups in the valley. Say, for example, the museum board. If they need their minutes done up after a meeting, if time allows, they would be tasked that the municipal work had to come first, and then whatever was left over could be used. We discussed for a while if those non-profits would be expected to pay for that, or if we would say as the valley municipalities, these non-profits make our valley a much better place. Let's just provide the service to them if we have some spare time. Budgetary amount was about $60,000 a year to do it. There was no decisions made last night. What was agreed to, though, is that each council would go back to their respective table and have a discussion on the proposal and see what their thoughts were, which is why it's on our agenda tonight. We're not the only ones meeting tonight, but we're here to see what are your thoughts. I don't know if I've done a good enough job explaining it. I know we've talked about it for months, so you're probably sick of hearing about it already. But what do we think? Would this be something we should do as the 4 municipalities?
We talked about this at the vet board, getting somebody to do all of them, eh? Like, nobody wanted to step up, so.
The earlier versions of the proposal of this that came forward were to hire someone part-time to work every single evening of their lives going to these actual meetings.
Yeah.
And there's simply no one that wants to do that. The only people crazy enough to give up every evening are council members. Nobody else wants to, which was where the thought came, okay, this should be a daytime job that's full-time. So we get somebody that's good at it, it's a full-time job, they're not looking for something else, they just do it. And then rely on the technology of having the agenda set up set them up electronically, so when the chairman does their thing, comes back, the minutes get made, and all that can be done during the day.
So they wouldn't actually be going to the meetings, you'd have your meetings, take your minutes to them and, or whatever, send it to them or however. And
Be it,
done.
depending on the committee, if it was written on paper or if it was on the computer,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
works.
yeah,
There's also some talk of using like an AI recorder. So they would, you just plop the thing on the desk. At the end of the meeting, then if they have questions about what happened, they can just go through the transcript and say, okay, well, this is what it was supposed to say, let's make sure it says
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Most committees, I don't think would need to do that. I
No.
think most committees are pretty good at figuring out what the resolutions are.
Yeah.
You just can't read the handwriting after.
Yeah,
See, you got things like the airport commission, Terry Gade does all that stuff.
Except they don't want to, they want out.
And then-
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I
and
know,
they do
that's
the-
what I'm getting.
and Terry does the vet board,
too,
Terry,
right?
yeah. you know, like at the vet board, we were talking about, well, we'll pay somebody to do it. And I says, well, we got Terry here, why don't we just pay him a bonus for doing it, eh? But I don't think, kind of frowned on that idea, I don't know why, but,
From my understanding of that specific thing is he doesn't want to.
well, I know he doesn't want to, but I told her, I said, you're doing it anyway, so you might as well get paid for it, like,
Then he comes to the meeting, the airport meeting, he comes to all the meetings at night.
might as well get paid for it. But maybe he feels if he takes money for it, then he's roped into it, then the,
Well, it could be, the town must be paying him for that at the moment anyway. That's gotta be all just on their dime, because he's not
Yeah.
coming for free to those.
yeah,
Because it was the town that was kind of the pressure of
yeah,
trying to find somebody to do those
yeah.
things.
Oh, that could be,
From medical recruitment side, we need somebody, Rise needs somebody. So we've got a lot of committees right now that are functioning without anybody. Those two are two that actually at least have Terry.
yeah,
There's lots of them now where it's just the chairperson's job is to,
write
Yeah.
down the minutes and,
well, you have the Rise meeting, and so at the end of it, okay, good, and here's the list of things that need to get done. Well, everybody else has gone home.
yeah,
And so then you spend your time doing that. Medical recruitment's the same, like Mario and I are spending our time writing up contracts and, it's great to come up with the ideas, but I'll spend 3 hours putting together those packages for doctors. Really, that should be just
yeah,
the assistant doing it. And, if I have those 3 hours, then I should go and do something useful rather than pushing paper around.
I think it's a good idea, just a matter how it's gonna get paid for, right, along population, I think it would be the best way to do it. I don't, like you said, yeah, it gets frustrating after a while.
Because it just goes
Everybody-
round in circles.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants the best for them.
Yes.
yeah,
And we would suspect, there was a lot of discussion last night on it, Rise had budgeted, it was $5,000 or so. Medical recruitment had budgeted $4,000 or $5,000. There's quite a few committees have some budget room to pay for this. And so the splitting won't be 60. It might be splitting 10 or 20, it might be splitting 30, just depending on what each planning district, for example, has $16,000 budgeted for an assistant and a place to live. Well, we're getting thrown out of watershed. So there's $16,000, that planning could put into it. You may find out that it's not as far off as you think.
Yeah, I actually think it's a good idea because sometimes you're thinking, well, I wish there would be someone to take these minutes, but like you say, who's gonna go for an hour once a month? They're not,
Yeah.
so I don't know, I think it's a good idea too, but like you say, we just gotta look at how to pay for it, yeah. It's a good thing.
Any other discussion on that?
So we're waiting for everybody to get back to us.
Essentially, I
The next
imagine,
G4.
well,
or
another,
before,
or 2 or 3 after that.
Were we supposed to make a decision tonight or not, or for the next?
Nobody else is going to. Mountain would be the only one at risk of actually making a decision, because they tend to make decisions, whereas every other council tends to push things down the road quite a bit.
Well, I think it's something we need to look at,
yeah,
definitely, so. I don't think we
Yeah,
should
I
push it
mean,
too far down the road.
And if we can cut that price in half by other monies, what
Exactly.
we're talking
It all
about.
comes from the same place, right? But
Yeah.
it comes in different amounts and
That's
different
right.
ways and different, everybody's had their fight over how each committee pays for things already. So a bunch of it comes from there. The other benefit is this would have the tourist booth open. You know,
All
so
the
if people
time.
go by there, there'd be somebody there during the day all the time,
Mhm.
which would be useful for the whole community too.
We'll make some use of that building.
Might as well, it's heated anyway.
And that was, like, there's meeting space there, so some of the committees could even meet there if they need to, if there's those options. But also, it's less secure, so keys can be given out to chairs of committees. So if they need to come in at 5:30 or 6 o'clock at night, pick up their stuff or drop it off, they can have a key for that building, but we don't really want to be doing that in these buildings.
You have the RISE meetings there or no?
We do. Rise is making it pretty good because we're not paying rent there right now. We probably should be, but we're not. Do you want us to recycle that onto the next agenda? Okay,
Yeah,
let's-
see how the rest of the
Yeah,
make
see
up.
what
Is
everybody
there any
The next
feedback?
couple of weeks.
We've asked them all to have an answer by middle of July at the latest, but we should have heard by our next meeting maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll bring it back and see what those answers are. 9/8, this was actually a decision that got made last night. Imagine that. 4 municipalities got together and actually decided something. So we will be, in the next few days, sending a greeting card to several communities. We have an actual printed out sample, which is easier to understand though it's attached. So the greeting card is from the entire Swan River Valley. It says, "Welcome home" on it. It was an honor to have you in our community during such a difficult time. As you return home, please know our thoughts are with you. We admire your strength and resilience. We're grateful for the chance to support you even in a small way. Wishing you peace, safety, and healing as you rebuild. From our community to yours, welcome home. And it has the Swan Valley logo. On the back, it also has a very controversial image of downtown Swan River. That says, "Any season, for any reason, you're always welcome to Swan River Valley. We look forward to seeing you again. Best wishes from the municipalities of the Swan River Valley." The rest of this is faked right now, but it's all these little notes. So we've begun collecting notes from people. I look at all of you, 1 to 2 line notes in the next day or two, if you wish to be included on this. We have from firefighters, a couple of them, some of the other people were going after the Friendship Center. So the idea here is somewhat self-serving. It's going to be sort of thank yous and no, it's just a warm, fuzzy feel good for people. But specifically, many of those people have interest already indicated they may just wish to move. Especially some that have had losses in some of those communities are already house shopping. So the thought was we would just thank them for coming here, make sure our name is top of mind. We're looking at the communities of Flin Flon, Lynn Lake, Cranberry, Portage, Snow Lake, and Denair Beach, obviously. So there's gonna be about 5,000 of these cards go out, just to make sure people are thinking about
Are
us.
we changing it some? What was recommended last night?
So
More pictures or what's going on?
So there was quite the consternation last night that this photo does not represent the Swan River Valley in a suitable way for the municipality of Minnetonka's Bozeman. As they feel this photo does not represent their municipality. So we agreed last night that each municipality can have a photo. So Mountain has provided theirs. Swan River hasn't taken issue with this, but we'll see if they come up with a different one. Swan Valley West has taken no position, but I suppose we'll find a photo of Benito that looks nice and put a photo of Benito in there. And Minnetonka's will no doubt have hired a photographer by now and be out taking a picture of their downtown to include in this, because they didn't feel it was appropriate that Swan River's downtown was pictured and theirs was not.
I don't know why we can't have a picture just coming into the whole valley, but, because there is those pictures out there. Anyway,
Yeah,
it's all good.
no.
I think there's a picture from, isn't the picture taken from Thunder Hill, which is
Yeah,
a bit
well,
of a
there's,
valley?
it shows the whole valley, that's what I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's all you need to see.
Yeah, no, that's not how things work in municipalities anymore.
Some of my clients this spring were staying in the Green Acres here and they ran into a lady from Snow Lake. She was not happy with things up there. She's gonna go back up, sell her place, she's moving down here. That's what she said.
We've had several. And you have to remember, we've had about 480 evacuees in the valley out of 22,000. So certainly lots of people didn't come here. And for the ones that didn't, not a bad thing to remind them we exist. So, I do encourage each of you, like we're not talking paragraphs, sentence or two. The writing will be smaller than this, but it'll have whatever you say, who you are, and be on the card. So if you're interested in doing that, we need to receive those in the next day or two. You can send them to Kristi. She'll get them to the right place. Very good. Let's go to correspondence tonight. RCMP report for May. Anyone dare me to read it?
No, we're good.
All right. So Cole's notes, highlights, actually not that much of a change. 23 months prior, 24 calls for service last month. We did have a little dip there down to 16, but we're in the range of what's pretty normal for calls for service into Swan Valley West. We'll leave the rest of it for your information on exactly what those calls were. We will get into more of the CREST stuff when we get to committee reports from last night. Any more discussion on the RCMP report? All right, let's move to committee reports. I always have trouble remembering where we started the last time, but let's start with Councillor McGregor this time. Councillor Neely.
Just one thing, and that was last night, we discussed it quite a bit, the G4. We had a presentation by a gentleman named Brian Weatherall.
But there's something.
Weatherall? I think
I think so.
Weatherall or something like that. Anyway, it was pretty interesting. The amount of drugs and stuff that they had seized and money cash they found. And they did actually put some people in prison for 3 years, 5 years, 1 year. There was a big drug ring and that stuff was coming from British Columbia by perolator. Half a kilo at a time being distributed out of Manitoba. And they didn't arrest the lady in Manitoba to start with. So after it was all over, she started doing it again 3 times, I think, before they finally put her away or something. But it's pretty intense what those guys do. There's 3 of these units. They call themselves what is it? Crest. I think crime reduction, some special unit or whatever. But there's 3 of them in the province, and there's 5 people on each team. And they do assist the GIS program as well, when necessary. So. But it was quite interesting. He went on for quite some time. And yeah, I found very, very interesting what he had to say. I can't remember it all now, but I mean, it was bits and pieces. Yeah, he had everybody's attention, I know that.
Yeah.
And then there was another lady there.
Mask. From Mask.
Yeah. Senior citizen, age-friendly Manitoba, whatever you want to call it. She had about a half-hour presentation as well. And you don't have to be old to be age-friendly. It's anywhere from the tomb, or a womb to the tomb, whatever you want to call it. And they're pushing for communities to do things for all ages, you know, like, and get people out, get them involved, especially the older people, to keep them moving and keep them in their homes and give them something to do and not sit at home and rot, basically, is what he was trying to say. Now, it was a good meeting. It went on for quite some time, but it was a good meeting last night, I found. And that's all I've had in the last 2 weeks.
Councillor Zbirun.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Burick.
I attended the G4 as well last night, and Councillor Neely gave a little report on the CREST presentation and also on the mask one, and both good speakers. You'll probably give an update on the stuff.
Oh, you forgot to say, Brian, that all the expenses for last night come out of Ward 6.
Ward 6, yeah.
Indemnity.
I kind of made it clear where the meeting was held. It was held in Ward 6, Swan Valley West. So. A lot of compliments for our road, 216. Yeah, they do like it. But I had no other committee reports, but I just had a few questions. What is our scrubber doing now?
Specifically tomorrow morning, nothing, because it's going to be digging a hole in Benito with a bucket on it. I don't think it has scrubbed since we last spoke 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so Tim wasn't doing much work with it, or was it the other machine, or was he doing some culvert installation, or nothing?
I don't know exactly, he's been doing some beavers, I haven't heard it,
Oh, okay,
I didn't query today exactly what he's been up to,
okay. So once he starts cutting grass, what's it doing? Nobody to operate it, I guess, eh?
not correct.
So, since it's gonna be in Benito, can it scrub the rail line?
It's got a little scrub head on it.
What's that?
It's got a little scrub head on it. It's got a
On the
bucket.
trailer.
And there's nobody that will operate that machine that we have, eh? Like, they're all busy, I guess. Everybody's busy, we have no men.
Dwayne's gonna run it tomorrow, so we're taking him off of grading for
Yeah.
half a day or so,
Yeah.
the digging we need done. Tim's gonna run it out there, cause he's got the class 1 to get it there, but he's probably not as good as Dwayne is at actually running it. We'll have to figure out a solution at some point, so, you know, the lead candidate that's best at running it, we just don't know their status right now.
Okay, what's any update of the skid steer?
So the appraiser was here, I think they're here, I don't know if it was since last meeting or the day of the
Just
last meeting.
before last
Just
meeting.
before, yeah. So they have made a report, what we understand is they're probably considering written off, but we still do not have confirmation from insurance if they're willing to cover it or not. We do have quotes for a new skid steer, but that was, I think, more just wishing on Brand's part than anything.
Okay. So Chloe's gonna start cutting tomorrow, according to the report?
This plan,
Which area first? Is it starting around Swan first, like as usual, and then working north, or do you have any idea or no idea?
no idea, didn't ask. I would assume so, because usually they, you know, work out
Cut
Swan
around
for a little while, and
Yeah.
then they start basing themselves a little further ways to cut down on driving time.
They used to try and do Swan close to the rodeo.
Rodeo.
You know, main drives.
And we understand now July 3rd, Jason Thompson's coming? July 3rd?
That's the date. He was supposed to be here today, but he couldn't make it due to a family issue. So he is scheduled for the 3rd. We have our list of where we want to get to.
Okay,
The intention is to spend the day with him
okay,
and try to get to all those places. At a couple locations where landowners will be meeting us
okay,
to work with him and us all at the same time to look at some stuff together.
okay. Okay, no, that's it, I guess. That's it.
Councillor Blosha.
I had a health foundation meeting, just a regular meeting, and then I did let our public works know about some signs that were down. But they're signs that make me very angry because they got put up a week or less later. They get pulled up and thrown in the other side of the ditch again. What, like, so anybody out there that hears this, please don't do that. Like, you have too much time on your hands. Like, quit pulling out signs that are there for a reason and throwing them into the ditch. There's no reason for it. And they're close to town too. So it's all dangerous spots. Just quit doing it.
You know who it is?
No, I don't know who it is, or else we're gonna be talking to them. Because it makes me mad, because it's taking up time and resources for them to go back, put the sign back where it belongs, and
Well, it's a safety thing.
it's a safety thing too, but it's not the point. Like, why are you doing it, and what is the reason? So, anyway,
They're
that's
look-
just my say, that's all I got.
Maybe they're looking for work.
No, it's just, there's no rhyme or reason for
No.
where or why.
I've had that too, in Whitefish Lake Road too. Signs are taking time to put them up again, like, I mean. for
But
no-
these ones, like, first they're just pulling them out and knocking them down, but now they're pulling them out, knocking them down, throwing them into the opposite ditches, like, for why? I don't understand it. That's all.
Councillor Kushniryk.
Just LED, discussion on the startup of splash parks and bylaw complaints and property line complaints and sewer complaints. I've been talking to Drew a lot. Nothing too major.
Get the old list. I think I've been, I don't know, it'll be sad. It's kind of a shorter report than otherwise.
I'd just like to point out, to interrupt, the sigh came from the far end of the table this time, not me.
What's this again? What's this again?
The sigh, the settling in, like, it wasn't me this time.
No, I never did that.
So I did attend G4 yesterday. We had a great time, great meal. Spoke after the meeting to some folks from the Big Woody Hall. just about the hall, how things are going. Talk to them about the signs, and how hard it kind of is to find with the signs that aren't there. Talk to them about their roof as well. The shingles are looking a little shabby, so they're working on doing some metal on that this year. Kind of gave them a nudge as to, you know, if you're working on a project like that, maybe it would be appropriate to show up here and tell us about putting metal on the roof as a one-time thing. Maybe there's something we could do to help. They feel they're very independent and don't need a lot of help. And I said, well, that's nice, and if you really don't want that, but at the same time, other halls approach us when something like that goes on, you'd be welcome to do the same. So we'll see if anything comes of that or not. On Wednesday the 18th, which is going back a ways already, Derek and I took some time. We looked a little bit of review of the landfill, trying to get our mind around what we're doing there, where we're going to put the shack, how we're going to set this up. He's working on having the trees removed so we can do the soil testing that's required for engineering. So he has someone coming out, I believe, this week to look at those trees that would use some of them rather than just put them all in a scrub pile, which would be kind of preferred to than just bulldozing them down and trying to burn them or something. We also went out to Road 152, and apologies to Councillor Neely because we didn't call you like we promised we would.
158.
158, sorry. And looked around there for 15-20 minutes. We took a spade out, so we dug some holes in the road, we dug some holes in the ditches to see what there is. The road has about an inch of, you call it gravel, but it's really not, and that turns into black dirt. The shoulders, though, have 6 or 8 inches of that gravel-like substance that's mostly sand, just because the road has worn away and pushed out, and there it all is. Which is, we looked at a lot of things, we talked about how to do it properly, and what doing it properly would cost, which is probably cost prohibitive. And then we talked about this idea of Dianco wanting to show off this disker that would basically go down the sides and pull that back in and break up the grass that is there and see if something could be done with that. We talked at length about, what is the purpose of the road? If we build it so good as to put loaded semis down it, the only place for them to go is the pavement. And we already have trouble with people using that to get around town and destroys the pavement. So we don't want to make a haul road out of it when it doesn't go anywhere. But at the same time, it needs to be better than it is because it's not in good shape at all. So we can't kick tires and pull the shoulders in and the gravel over top of it. Do we put a whole bunch of gravel on it and try to pack that in? Where is that sweet spot? How much do we want to spend? Do we want to spend 25 on it? Do we want to spend 50 on it? Where do we go? So we're discussing some more about whether we can pull that in and then see where it is after that. We're measuring some ditches to see the elevation. It's just a couple spots in there, there's barely any. There's an inch or two. But maybe an inch or two, if it didn't have, that road in places has this much of a lip on it. Where the shoulder comes up and the road goes down a foot and goes across and up a foot the other way and carries on.
High in places.
Yeah. And where that is,
Yeah, just hold all the water in.
we were looking at if that was smoothed out onto the road, would there be anything for the water to go on, or would the road still be the lowest thing? And that's where, there's a couple spots we probably have to dig ditch there, or else it's gonna not work. But we were just kind of looking, we were digging, a foot in, 2 feet in, see how far that gravelly type substance works. It basically is that big woody gravel, right? It was so crappy that it's got rock in it and sand. There's nothing in there that's really.
And there's a sand base under everything to start with. The road, it needs a base under the gravel, otherwise it just turns to washboard in 2 days. You can grade it every second day and washboard again.
We talked about, is this where a role for alpine gravel? Because it's very high clay content. Do we bring the highest clay we can find out of there and put a few inches in and pack it, sort of a base, and then put gravel over top of that? We're gonna have to go there and look some more. But none of it's going to be an easy solution to fix that. But something needs to be done. It can't be left like it is.
Unless we grade it every 2 days, but
Well,
other than that,
Well, it's just trouble. I went out to play dog catcher.
Okay, I'm not laughing at you.
Laughing with me, right? So I went and had a nice visit with the dog, and the dog went home. In the end, I got to meet a lot of people too, walking through all their backyards. And the dog went home to the applicant's home. That will be applying for the kennel license. Nice dog, very friendly, but not where it should have been. So, whatever. It was resolved without having to do anything else, so it did get home. The only reason I was out there is it was a Wednesday, and we've been receiving a call from one person that is afraid to leave their house if there's a dog on the loose. So rather than waiting for someone else to be able to appear, it was more expedient just go and find the dog and free them from their house. So that's the route we took on that. It's been otherwise mostly uneventful except for stuff I can't tell you except in the in-camera session, which means it's probably not that uneventful at all. But nobody's been shot or killed that works here. So that's really a good outcome considering what some of it's like. Anything else for committee reports and communications? All right, we will take a break to check the weather. Among a few other things, we'll be coming back to go in camera. We have some personnel matters to discuss tonight, fairly simple ones, thankfully. Some negotiations and discussions on gravel type issues. Some bylaw enforcement, we'll be discussing a lot on that actually. And we may get into some security of property, so we'll leave that on the list as an option. But we'll see everybody back in about 10 minutes time, and we'll be going in camera when you get back. Until then, we're in recess. Moving to 13.1, be it resolved that pursuant to section 1523 of the Municipal Act, Council shall meet as a committee to hold a closed meeting, continue discussions in camera regarding personnel matters, negotiations, preliminary discussions, investigation or enforcement of active bylaw and security of armed documents or property. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Burick, and a seconder, please. Councillor Zbirun. I don't know if he was eating a peanut or if he was waving.
Close enough.
Call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Coming to the in-camera session, we've given direction to staff on a couple issues. We've also had a great discussion about gravel crushing and some bylaw enforcement, which was riveting to say the least. I'm sure you all wish you were in the session. Do we have any resolutions arising from the in-camera sessions tonight? Hearing nothing, is there any notices of motion that anyone wishes to present? Still hearing nothing, we'll move to section 15. Be it resolved that this meeting shall now adjourn at 9:42 p.m. Be it further resolved the next meeting is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Notice is really early, it's the 8th. Who was first?
Oh, I'll give it to her again.
Councillor Blosha and Councillor Neely.
It was pretty close.
Any further discussion? Those in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.